Well, the hackers are apparently North Korea, or so the FBI tells us. And those hackers are issuing or have issued a couple more statements. One of them saying to the higher ups at Sony, good job. You did the right thing by pulling the interview. Oh, and by the way, make sure you pull also the trailers, any clips, pretty much anything that might make us look bad. That's pretty much what it comes down to. And piracy. They're not fans of piracy, apparently. The irony. Joining us to discuss this, we have Andrew Kimber, who is Sun News Research Director, and also Alessandro Bruno, who's an international security expert. Thank you both for being here. Let me start with you, Alessandro. In terms of these latest developments, is this something that needs to be taken seriously, and how seriously do you think Sony will take it, as well as the government?
Well, to be honest, at first when I heard this story, I thought it was a hoax created by Sony to promote the movie in the same vein as Orson Welles and the End of the World broadcast in 1939. And I thought, well, pretty brilliant. I mean, it will make lots of people go to and add to the atmosphere. But if the president starts getting involved and the FBI, then the hoax story, I think, evaporates. And so to me, it's quite predictable too, because North Korea propagates to their people the idea that the United States wants to invade and wants to kill the president. So this movie plays right into North Korean propaganda. It was something they just couldn't stay away from. It was an excellent opportunity for them to stage one of their so-called attacks. You know, they launch a lot. They're very good at threats. This time they've managed to get something, but normally, you know, they launch rockets that never reach supposedly reach America. They
don't get off the ground.
They don't get off the ground. Exactly.
Yeah.
This is one of those things, but this time they can actually be effective. Now, are North Koreans really doing this? I don't know, because that would imply that there's a whole series, that there's a big chunk of the population in North Korea that are aware of what's going on in the outside world, that have internet access. What I understand is that even some of their top programmers don't have internet access.
All right, and well, let me, Andrew, ask you, because this is setting a precedent. I don't think there's too much of a question about that. Has the government been following this closely enough?
So I believe they have. There was a report that the Obama administration put out not too long ago. Cyber attacks are increasing at an incredible rate. In 2014, we've seen 61,000 cyber attacks against the government of the United States. In 2010, that was less than 30,000. So we're seeing over 100% increase over just a 3 or 4 year span. We're going to see a lot more of this. This is a new type of warfare that we're entering a new phase where terrorists aren't necessarily going to be hitting us just with bombs or on airplanes. They're going to be hitting us online, because that's where everything is done. Commerce is moving online. There's very little paper money now. People are using debit cards and credit cards online to buy things. So as they move into this, the United States government's got to be more watchful of it.
Senator John McCain goes as far as saying this is an act of war. I mean, that seems a little extreme, but what do you think?
Well, I think it's a bit extreme. After all, it's an act mostly against a movie company. Mm-hmm. And the fact that this is a Japanese movie company, that North Korea and Japan have, actually they were starting to negotiate, because they still have prisoners. There are still Japanese interests in North Korea. So Japan is, I think the interesting thing is what's going to happen. Japan is extremely embarrassed. There's going to be heads rolling at Sony for approving the script in the first place.
Really?
Well, I think this is quite a provocation. I mean, if anyone made a movie about someone killing the Prime Minister of Canada, I'm sure the Canadian government would not be too pleased. Okay. Nor with most Canadians, regardless of who you voted for.
Well, it's satire. There is a difference there.
It is satire, but they're targeting an actual leader. It's not a parody of a leader. It's not a fake one. It's an actual leader. So I think had they stopped short of the actual assassination and just made a parody of North Korea, in the same way that Captain America, what was it?
Right, World Police, yeah.
World Police did. I think that might have been okay, but this time they've gone that extra step.
Okay, we've got a clip here, and this is, and I'll get to you in a sec, this is the Homeland Security actually weighing in on the situation.
I do think by pulling the movies, they gave the North Koreans, and let's be honest where this threat came from. I think U.S. officials have reported that it came from North Korea, this Bureau 121. And what they effectively did was give them a victory and gave them precisely what they wanted to achieve, and that is a pulling down of this movie.
Andrew, let me ask you, because they are going another step here as far as the hackers go. They're asking for things that are pretty much not possible. That, you know, there are clips of this movie everywhere. Once it's out there, it's out there. They're saying, you know, get control of it, rein it in completely.
Yeah. Well, this is the problem with negotiating with terrorists. By pulling the movie down, by not showing it on December 25th, once you start caving into some of their demands, they're going to keep making more. This is why the U.S. government, as a policy, has that they don't negotiate with terrorists. Sony is an independent company. They're a business. They can